Ever wondered why we're so obsessed with tragic love stories? Could it be that heartbreak speaks to us more than happy ending? Medieval romances weren't all knights in shining armor, rescuing damsels with happily ever afters. They were often gut-wrenching tales of love, doomed from the start. Number 8. Tristan and Isolde. Have you ever fallen in love with someone completely off-limits? That's exactly what happened to Tristan and Isolde in one of the most heartbreaking medieval romances ever told. Tristan, a valiant knight, was sent by his uncle, King Mark of Cornwall, to bring back the beautiful Irish princess Isolde as the king's bride. But fate had other plans. During their journey back to Cornwall, Tristan and Isolde accidentally drank a love potion meant for Isolde and King Mark on their wedding night. The magic was instant and irreversible. Despite Isolde marrying King Mark as planned, she and Tristan couldn't fight their enchanted feelings. Their forbidden affair continued in secret, with stolen moments and clandestine meetings that kept their passion alive. Eventually, their love was discovered, and Tristan was banished. In exile, Tristan married another woman named Isolde of the White Hands, though only in name. When Tristan was mortally wounded in battle, he sent for his true love Isolde to come heal him with her medicinal skills. They arranged that the ship carrying her would have white sails if she was on board, black if she wasn't. When the ship appeared on the horizon with white sails, Tristan's jealous wife lied and told him they were black. Believing his love had abandoned him, Tristan died of grief. When Isolde arrived and found him dead, she collapsed beside him and died of a broken heart. Their tragedy inspired countless retellings, including Wagner's famous opera and films. Even today, people visit Cornwall looking for traces of their legendary love. Number 7. Pyramus and Thysbe. Can a wall really come between true love? For Pyramus and Thysbe, it certainly tried. These star-crossed lovers lived next door to each other in ancient Babylon, but their families were bitter enemies who forbade their relationship. That didn't stop the determined youngsters who discovered a crack in the wall separating their homes and whispered sweet nothings through it. Eventually, they hatched a plan to escape together. They would meet at night under a mulberry tree, with white berries far from their homes. Thisbe arrived first, but fled when she saw a lioness with a bloody mouth approaching. In her haste, she dropped her veil, which the lioness mauled, leaving it bloody and torn. When Pyramus arrived and found the bloodied veil, he assumed the worst, that his beloved had been killed by a wild animal. Overcome with grief, he drew his sword and plunged it into his body. This, returning to find her lover dying, grabbed the same sword and took her own life to join him in death. Their blood stained the white mulberry berries, turning them red, which is why, according to the legend, mulberries are red when ripe. If this story sounds familiar, it's because Shakespeare used it as inspiration for Romeo and Juliet. The tale shows how miscommunication and hasty conclusions can lead to tragedy. Number 6. Lancelot and Guinevere. What happens when you fall in love with your best friend's wife? And not just any friend, but the greatest king of the age. Sir Lancelot was King Arthur's most trusted knight and friend, loyal, brave, and the perfect embodiment of chivalry, which makes his betrayal all the more devastating. As the most celebrated knight of the Round Table, Lancelot was admired throughout the realm. But it was Queen Guinevere who captured his heart, and he hers. Their illicit affair continued for years, with both lovers tormented by guilt over betraying the noble Arthur. Lancelot would rescue Guinevere from danger time and again, fueling their forbidden passion. Eventually, their relationship was exposed by Arthur's illegitimate son, Mordred, who had his own designs on the throne. Arthur, heartbroken by the betrayal, sentenced Guinevere to death. True to form, Lancelot rescued her from execution, killing several of his fellow knights in the process. The lovers fled, with Arthur in pursuit, leaving the kingdom vulnerable to Mordred's treachery. While Arthur was away, Mordred seized the throne, forcing the king to return and fight for his kingdom. In the final battle, Arthur and Mordred killed each other. Learning of Arthur's death, Guinevere retreated to a convent to live out her days in prayer and penance. Lancelot, too, became a hermit priest, living in solitude until his death. Their love affair literally destroyed Camelot and the idealistic dream it represented. The tragic triangle has been retold countless times in literature, film, and stage, serving as a cautionary tale about how even the most noble hearts can be led astray by passion. Number 5. Heloise and Abalar. Can you imagine being punished so severely for falling in love that it changes the course of history? Peter Abelard and Heloise d'Argentoul experienced exactly this horror in 12th century Paris. Abelard was a brilliant philosopher and theologian, renowned throughout Europe for his teaching and writing. Heloise, nearly 20 years his junior, was the extraordinarily intelligent niece of Canon Fulbert. When Fulbert hired Abelard to be Heloise's tutor, little did he know he was setting the stage for a passion that would scandalize Paris. The two fell deeply in love, beginning a relationship that was intellectual, spiritual, and physical. Soon, Heloise became pregnant. They married in secret to appease her uncle, though Heloise was initially against the idea, believing it would damage Abelard's career in the church. When Fulbert discovered the truth, his revenge was brutal and calculated. He hired men who broke into Abelard's room at night and castrated him. The attack left Abelard physically and emotionally devastated. In the aftermath, both entered religious life. Heloise became a nun and eventually an abbess, while Abelard continued as a monk and scholar. Though separated by their vows and circumstances, their love continued through a series of passionate letters that survive to this day. Their correspondence reveals the depth of their feelings, their intellectual connection, and their struggles with desire and religious duty. Would that thy love, beloved, had less trust in me, that it might be more anxious, Heloise wrote, while Abelard replied, If I am remembered, it will be for this pain. Their letters stand as some of the most eloquent expressions of romantic love in medieval literature, making their story not just a tale of tragic circumstances, but of enduring passion against all odds. Number 4. Hero and Leander. Would you swim across a dangerous strait every night just to be with the one you love? Leander did exactly that for Hero, with devastating consequences. Hero was a priestess of Aphrodite who lived in a tower in Sestos, on the European side of the Helispont Strait, now the Dardanelles in Turkey. Leander was a young man from Abydos, on the Asian side. They fell in love during a festival of Aphrodite, but Hero's position as a priestess meant she had to remain a virgin. Undeterred by the obstacle of the strait between them, Leander swam across the dangerous waters each night to be with Hero, guided by a lamp she lit at the top of her tower. Their clandestine meetings continued all summer. As winter approached, Hero urged Leander to stop his nightly swims until spring, fearing the increasingly treacherous waters. But Leander couldn't bear to be apart from her. One stormy night, the winds blew out Hero's lamp, and Leander, without his guiding light, drowned in the turbulent sea. When his body washed ashore beneath her tower, Hero, overcome with grief, threw herself from the tower to join her lover in death. Their tragic ending has been immortalized in art and poetry for centuries, most famously in Christopher Marlowe's poem, Hero and Leander. The Helispont has since become a symbol of the obstacles lovers will overcome for each other. Even Lord Byron, the Romantic poet, was so moved by the legend that he recreated Leander's swim across the strait in 1810, proving both the feat's possibility and its difficulty. Number 3. Paulo and Francesca. Can a book lead to eternal damnation? For Paulo and Francesca, reading together sealed their tragic fate. In early 14th century Italy, Francesca da Rimini was married to Giovanni Malatesta, a powerful but deformed nobleman, in a political arrangement. Giovanni's handsome brother Paolo was assigned to escort Francesca around the court, and inevitably the two fell in love. One day, they were reading the tale of Lancelot and Guinevere together. The romantic story inflamed their own desires, and they gave in to their passion. As Francesca later explained in Dante's Inferno, when we read how the desired smile was kissed by such a lover, this one, who never shall be parted from me, kissed my mouth all trembling. Their affair was discovered by Giovanni, who caught them in the act of embracing. In a rage, he stabbed them both to death. According to Dante, who encountered the lovers' souls in the second circle of hell, they were condemned to be eternally buffeted by violent storms, just as in life they were helplessly tossed about by their passions. Their story became one of the most famous episodes in Dante's Divine Comedy, inspiring countless paintings, musical compositions, and literary works. The tale is particularly poignant because, unlike many adulterous couples in literature, Paulo and Francesca are portrayed sympathetically. Their punishment seems harsh for a love born of genuine affection, making readers question the justice of their fate. The image of the two lovers, forever entwined in the afterlife, condemned yet undeniably still in love, captures the bittersweet essence of tragic romance. Number 2. Orpheus and Uritysy. Would you journey to the underworld for love? Could you resist looking back to make sure your beloved was following you home? Orpheus couldn't, and it cost him everything. Orpheus was the greatest musician in Greek mythology, capable of charming all living things with his lyre. When he played, rivers stopped flowing, wild beasts grew tame, and even trees uprooted themselves to follow the enchanting melodies. He fell deeply in love with the beautiful nymph Uritysy, and their wedding day should have been perfect. But tragedy struck when Uritysy, fleeing from an unwanted suitor, stepped on a venomous snake and died instantly. Devastated, Orpheus refused to accept their separation. He descended into the underworld, a journey no living human had survived, determined to bring Uritysy back. At the gates of Hades, his music softened the hearts of Cerberus, the three-headed dog, and the ferryman Charon. Even Hades and Persephone, rulers of the underworld, were moved by his playing and his grief. They agreed to return Uritysy to him, but with one crucial condition. Orpheus must walk ahead of Uritysy on the path back to the living world, and not look back until they had completely exited the underworld. Nearly at the exit, overcome with anxiety and love, Orpheus couldn't help himself. He turned to make sure Uritysy was still behind him. In that moment, she vanished, pulled back into the depths of Hades forever. Orpheus spent the rest of his days wandering in misery, playing sorrowful songs until he was eventually torn apart by Maenads. Even in death, his head continued singing as it floated down the river. the tale reminds us how doubt can destroy what we most cherish, and how love can bring both the greatest joy and the deepest sorrow. Number 1. Romeo and Juliet. Is there any tragic love story more famous than this one? Have you ever wondered why it continues to captivate us, centuries after Shakespeare penned it? In fair Verona, where Shakespeare lays his scene, two teenagers from feuding families feel an instant attraction at a masked ball. Romeo, Montague, and Juliet Capulet fall deeply in love, despite knowing their family's ancient grudge makes their relationship impossible. With the help of Friar Lawrence and Juliet's nurse, they secretly marry, hoping their union might eventually reconcile their warring families. But violence erupts when Romeo's friend Mercutio is killed by Juliet's cousin Tybalt. Romeo, in a rage, kills Tybalt and is banished from Verona. Before leaving for exile in Mantua, Romeo spends one night with his new bride. To avoid an arranged marriage to Paris, Juliet takes a potion from Friar Lawrence that makes her appear dead for 42 hours. The plan is for Romeo to meet her when she wakes in her family tomb. But tragically, the message informing Romeo of this plan never reaches him. Instead, he hears of Juliet's death and, heartbroken, buys poison and goes to her tomb to die by her side. Finding Juliet apparently dead, Romeo drinks his poison. Moments later, Juliet awakens to find her husband dying. With Romeo dead in her arms, Juliet takes his dagger and stabs herself. The grieving families, standing over their children's bodies, finally end their feud, a peace bought at an unbearable price. While Shakespeare borrowed the tale from earlier sources, his genius transformed it into the definitive tragic love story, one that continues to inspire adaptations across cultures. The tale resonates because it captures universal truths about young love, family conflicts, and the senseless nature of hate. We see ourselves in these lovers' hasty decisions, their defiance of authority, and their absolute conviction that life without each other isn't worth living. Would you die for love? Romeo and Juliet didn't hesitate. Have medieval tales of doomed lovers shaped how we view romance today? Or do these stories endure because they reflect something timeless about human passion and its collision with society's rules?